The more I start to learn and understand about nervous system regulation, the more I'm realizing that us ADHDers are running around in this dysregulated state the majority of the time, and it can have some really deleterious impacts on our life in general. So from that perspective, I'm going to give you a real layman's tour of how it feels to be in a dysregulated body versus in a regulated body, and also offer you some really practical tools to help regulate your state in the moment when you feel dysregulated, and also give you some daily practices and habits that will keep you in a more regulated state overall, rather than this constant state of chaos that we seem to live in, or feeling completely shut down. So stick around because we're going to get into that right now. But if you're new here, welcome. My name is Karen McGill. I'm an ADHD coach and creator, and I am here for the busy, ambitious brains who are generally dysregulated until today. So let's get into it. And by the way, all of this is based on polyvagal theory that I am by no means an expert on, but I'm learning more and more about, because I believe that we generally live in a dysregulated state the majority of the time. But because that is our common state, we think it's normal. But there is actually a calmer way to live, and we can access that. So let's get into that right now, starting with the ventral vagal state, which is your common regulated state. This is the gold standard, calm but alert, adaptable, grounded, and curious. You probably feel safe and quite openly social the majority of the time. Your body works at its best, your immune system is strong, your digestion is smooth, and you recover easily from stress. This is the version of you who can deal with whatever life throws at you and have the capacity to meet it. The next two modes are sympathetic, meaning fight or flight, and I'm going to break that down because each one presents a little bit differently. So if you are in sympathetic fight mode, your body feels like you need to battle your way out of danger pretty much all the time. So you might be irritable, frustrated, maybe even aggressive. Physically, you feel that your heart pounds a lot, you've got muscle tension, headaches, upset stomach, and mentally, you don't have a lot of control over your focus. You might withdraw from other people or lash out, and you generally feel like you're hypervigilant because your body is always scanning for potential threat. The next one is sympathetic flight mode. And this is similar to the survival system, but instead of fighting, you want to run. So your general emotions are panic, fear, anxiety, constant scanning for threats. The physical experience can be similar to fight mode, so rapid heartbeat, muscle tension, trouble sleeping, but the emotional mode is generally more anxious than angry. And this is generally, transparently, where I live most of the time. I have an anxiety disorder as well, and I am always scanning for potential threats, even though my life is by and large quite safe. There's two more states. One is dorsal shutdown. So this is when your body says, nope, can't do this. You might feel numb, disconnected, helpless. Hobbies lose their spark. Decision-making might feel impossible. Your body seems heavy. And while it looks like you might be resting from the outside, you just generally feel checked out. And then the last one is dorsal freeze mode, which is being shut down, but with an extra layer of stuck. So low energy, low motivation, trouble speaking up, avoiding things, struggling to set boundaries. So you feel that energy of being shut down, but you can also feel the stress running in the background. So at this point, I would love for you guys to drop a comment below and let me know which state that I just went through that you tend to live in the most. Like I said, I think that I'm in flight mode a lot, but I can also very much relate to the dorsal freeze mode of feeling a little bit shut down, but also having that nervous energy running in the background. Now that we've gone through each of the states and hopefully you've identified where you tend to live the most, now I'm going to give you simple strategies that you could apply at work, at home, while you're commuting. There's no cost, it takes no time, but these things will definitely move you towards that sense of ventral vagal where you feel more regulated more often, which is what I want for all of us. Now, the first one is simply a choice to cut back on the amount of caffeine that you're intaking, especially if you find yourself in fight or flight the majority of the time. So if you are someone who immediately gets up and has coffee and perhaps more than one, or you're pounding Diet Cokes all day, I'm sure I don't have to tell you that consuming that amount of caffeine is like pouring gasoline on your nervous system and setting it on fire. So I have definitely changed my caffeine habits. Haven't moved away entirely, but now I wait a little bit later in the morning to have my coffee, which gives my natural cortisol levels a little bit more time to baseline before I put fuel on it. And also I've cut down to half calf, and that has made the world of difference in just my general sense of anxiety and living in that hypervigilant zone all the time. And the next one, I've talked about this before, walking outside, preferably in the morning. I'll give you 2 reasons for this. Number 1, if something is triggering you emotionally, if you go for a walk without anything in your earballs, so you actually have some time to think about whatever's triggering you, but rather than looping thoughts about how somebody did you wrong or you're the victim, instead, as you're walking along, ask yourself, where do I feel the trigger in my body? And your body will actually present the feeling for you. It's generally going to be somewhere between your tailbone and your solar plexus, like right around the rib cage, somewhere in there, but often it's also in the heart center or throat as well. Your emotions physically have a state in your body. So if you can identify it and just follow it for a few minutes, so you're not applying a story to it, you're just watching wherever it is in your body. Maybe you give it a color or you explore what the texture is, but you don't get judgmental or don't put any labels on it and just see what happens. You're going to find that it dissipates out of your body, or you're going to feel it float up in your body and actually come out your mouth or nose. That's how I feel it generally. And what you are doing there is literally processing emotion in the moment. Now, of course, I'm not recommending you do this with a big traumatic experience. I'm talking about the small triggers in your life that have a tendency to build up in your nervous system. And it's like death by 1,000 cuts. So the more that you can process those small triggers, you're going to feel a lot lighter and safer, which is going to help you regulate your nervous system. Because all of this at the end of the day is about making you feel safer. And the other reason it's great to go out first thing in the morning for a walk is that morning sunlight has been proven to help heal and restore your mitochondria. I want you to think about your mitochondria as like your energy system. So the healthier your mitochondria is, the more energy you have. The more energy you have, the more your body is able to go between either sympathetic and parasympathetic mode appropriately and come back to a regulated state and stay there. That takes a lot of energy. So if you don't have a lot of energy and your mitochondria isn't healthy, then it's going to be harder for your body to actually regulate itself. So morning sunlight, better mitochondria, more energy, more adaptability in your nervous system overall. The next thing I highly recommend, that's going to take no time, no energy, nobody's going to know you're doing it, is to practice deep breathing. Particularly if you are in fight or flight mode or if you feel anxious a lot of the time, you probably have very shallow breath. You may not notice it, but you probably do. So take a minute right now to just pay attention to your breath and give yourself the opportunity to start breathing a little bit deeper into your diaphragm. And do that like 2 or 3 times and see how it literally changes your state. You are going to find that your nervous system is going to move from either being completely jacked up or completely checked out to actually being in the present moment. Just try it. Trust me, it works. Now, the next thing I'd love you to do, and this is something you could do throughout the day, so if you can give yourself little reminders, all the better, is a somatic check-in. So you're checking in with how your body feels in any moment. So now that you have this awareness of what dysregulation versus regulated feels like, check in with your body throughout the day and see how you're feeling. There's probably going to be some states where you generally feel quite regulated. And in those moments, it's good to take note of why you feel regulated. Like, why am I feeling so calm right now? Is it the people I'm with? Is it the environment I'm in? Is it what I just ate? Is it how did I sleep last night? Like, take mental notes of what makes you feel most regulated. And if you feel like you're dysregulated, like you're in that fight or flight mode, dig into that. Who are you with? What are you wearing? What's going on in your environment that might be making you feel that way? Or what are you thinking about in the moment that is making you feel unsafe? Bottom line, whenever you're doing these somatic check-ins, the question you're trying to answer is, do I feel regulated, aka safe, or do I feel dysregulated, aka not safe? And when you don't feel safe, it doesn't necessarily mean that something's happening outside of you that makes you feel unsafe. It could be something inside. I'll give you an example. I was working with a client once, and we had just gotten on our first call, and she was explaining to me what her goal was. And as I asked her questions and we started to break it down more, she started to realize that the goal she had was not realistic in the timeline she was expecting to complete it. And as that realization was coming to her, I could literally see her shutting down. Like, she was there on the Zoom call, but she wasn't, if you know what I mean. And I asked her, what's happening for you right now? And she explained to me that she was ADHD and autistic, and what she was experiencing in that moment was an autistic shutdown, because she was feeling overwhelmed with the new information she had and she was trying to process it. And when we talk about being safe or unsafe, even though there was no external threat, she may have been feeling unsafe with herself, not being able to trust herself to set goals that she can actually achieve. And while that is just a story and it is neither true nor not true, when you fall into that story, it can make you feel unsafe within yourself. Like you don't trust yourself to make the right choices or do the right things. And that's certainly not the case with this person, but that's what she could have been processing in that moment. So when it comes to the nervous system, I want you to expand your definition of safety to include people or places or clothes that may not feel safe, but also internal boundaries, decisions, choices, and personal narratives also may feel equally unsafe. Now, the last practice I want to talk about, again, takes no time, costs no money, but it is so important, and that is connection and co-regulation. And I'll be honest, this is the one I struggle with the most because I'd rather spend time with my dog than most people. But it is really important for all of us to be spending time with other people. And that is not just because when you're around calm people, it's easier for you to co-regulate and adopt their energy. It has to do with how you match your energy to any given moment. So for example, when you're a kid, you fall down, scrape your knee, start crying. However your caregiver approaches that situation is going to be how you co-regulate. So if they approach you also freaking out, then that is going to reinforce that freaking out in that moment is the right thing to do. But if they approach you with calm energy and say, oh, that must have hurt, I'm so sorry, I'm here now, you're okay, then you are going to co-regulate to that energy. So we learn to co-regulate really early on, and assuming it wasn't too dysfunctional, it helps us regulate our emotions and our energy as adults as well. And that can be, if you want to connect with somebody, perhaps mirroring their emotions, or it can mean maintaining your own emotions and your own regulation when you're in the presence of somebody who is completely dysregulated. That skill of co-regulation is really important. And unfortunately, as younger kids continue to grow up on screens and spend less face-to-face time with other people, they're actually losing that skill of co-regulation. So even though personally, I'm pretty introverted and love spending time alone, I will put myself purposely in situations where I'm around other people now because I don't want to lose that skill of co-regulation and being able to manage my own nervous system. So those are the practices that I've been working on for the past little while. I have to say the somatic check-ins and doing the walks where I feel my emotions dissipate has had seriously, such an amazing impact on just my sense of feeling more regulated and calm throughout the day. So I hope that you get a chance to try some of these practices, and I hope they have an impact on you too. I would love to know how it goes. Thanks so much, guys, for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.